right, everybody. Welcome to Archetypes in Action, an astrological improv theater experience.
Oh my God,
The
please
first, the first of its kind that we know of, that I know of. And so let me give you a sense of the structure of the event here today. So first off, this is being recorded and it's going to be there on YouTube and particularly on the Archetypal News Network channel. Okay. And if you have your, I guess you can play around actually, for those of you viewing this live, you can play around with your view. You can have gallery view and you can have speaker view. I'm going to ask that everybody who's not a participant turn off your video and actually mute yourself. It's because we're going to have some video that we want to pay attention to here today. Okay. And the structure of the event will be that, so we begin our event with a panel of archetypal astrologers. And we're going to talk about what are called the world transits, which is the alignments between the planets that are happening currently. So the angular alignments between the planets that are happening currently. We're going to rely on our panel of archetypal astrologers to help us understand the array in the sky of the planets around us here on Earth and their angular relationship to each other and what that symbolizes. Okay. And then we're going to have a talented team of actors join us to engage in some improv acting scenarios. And at that point in time, we're going to ask the audience for some audience participation. And there's no pressure on you. You don't have to participate. But for that period of time, the mode of participation is the chat. So there's a bar at the bottom of your Zoom window where it says chat. So keep that handy because we're going to ask for whoever wants to participate to put your input there in the chat section. And and then after as we proceed with the scenarios, the audience is going to help us come up with the scenarios, the improv scenarios, and from the imagination, the collective imagination of everybody here. And from there, we'll return to the panel of astrologers to reflect upon everything that we saw and how the symbolism of the current planetary alignments are reflected in what just unfolded spontaneously through the improv. And that is a time for open discussion as well. So keep your chat close by there as well, because you'll probably have some insights of your own that you want to share that we can benefit from. So this is the group insights. So we want everybody to anything that you want to share, please feel free to share it. So just a little background on archetypal astrology and the planetary archetypes in astrology. So the symbolism of the planets is called their archetype. Each planet has a symbolism, kind of an array of symbolism that's called their archetype. And these archetypes in ancient times, they were called the gods and goddesses. Okay. And so these archetypes, gods, goddesses, are what gives our lives here on Earth particular structure and meaning. Okay. And so that's one of the reasons for having an event like this, is to provide an opportunity to witness how these archetypes, to witness the archetypes themselves, witness the gods and goddess, witness how they offer structure and meaning to our unfolding present. And so we're in essence evoking the archetypes, gods and goddesses, honoring the archetypes, gods and goddesses, celebrating the archetypes, gods and goddesses, communing with the archetypes, gods and goddesses. So we're not like, and that's something that's really very special. We're not here to kind of like make the gods and goddesses and the archetypes perform for us. There's a scene from a movie, Zoolander. Has anybody here seen Zoolander? Comedy Zoolander. So there's a scene in which the male model, who's the main character, Derek Zoolander, is in a conversation about how impressionable male models can be. And and he's kind of wondering, is that true? Are we really impressionable? He's having a memory of him being dressed up in a monkey suit with little symbols in a photo shoot, and the photographer's assistants throwing bananas at him, and the photographer saying, "You're a monkey, Derek. You're a monkey, Derek. Dance." So that is not what we're doing here today. We're not here to make the archetypes perform and dance for us. If anything, actually, we are the ones that are dancing the archetypes, or having the archetypes kind of channel through us. So it's with a reverent stance that we approach an event like this. At the same time, though, that one way to demonstrate that reverence is to just be open to whatever comes. Be open. I mean, that's kind of the gift of improv. The approach of improv is just to be open to whatever comes. So that's one way to bring a sense of reverence. We want to be open, recognize the divine in that, reflect on it, appreciate it. This is so that's what we're doing here today. And okay, so in order to do this, let's recognize, however they show up. It could be goofy, could be fun, could be profound, sad, deep, superficial, whatever it is. It can be anything. And that's how these divine archetypes are presenting themselves for us. And our very openness to that is a wonderful thing. Okay, so one note, this is this event is a fundraiser for the production of the play Actors Only, which is a play that is incorporates the archetypal perspective, like archetypal astrology, into the play. And that play is being produced in the Washington, D.C. Fringe Fest. And so this is a fundraiser for the production of that play. And if you haven't already, I'll put the link here into the chat, and you can check out our efforts to bring the archetypal perspective to the stage in Washington, D.C. If you're watching the recording of this, that same link will be below in the description. All right, so let's introduce our astrologers. And I'm actually going to pin the astrologers here on the video so that you can see them. One moment here. Okay, so I would like to introduce you to Alexis Angelucci. So Alexis has spent almost her entire life so far working with kids, doing art and nature connection. She has a profound love and enthusiasm for the previously mentioned, which also brings her to the current practice of being an astrologer. She is tremendously grateful for the healing power that the natural world, astrological studies, and artistic creative expression have brought to her own life. And she's very excited about witnessing, sharing, and exploring how this trinity blossoms in the lives of others, and the meaningful transformation and impact it can bring to the world at large during this unique turning point in time. So everybody, please welcome Alexis. Yay. And I would like to introduce you to Emily Wells-Perritt. So Emily Wells-Perritt is a therapeutic body worker, yoga instructor, and holistic wellness center owner with over 30 years of experience in the healing arts. So she's an aficionado of archetypal astrology. She's a Virgo. She's got a grand trine in Earth. You get to learn all about that. Okay. And Kyle Pierce has been an astrological researcher and developer of astrology software since the 1980s. He studies planetary patterns that repeat over time and looks for parallels in the life stories of those who share the same patterns. This has been inspired in part by the pioneering work of Rick Tarnas, the founder of Archetypal Astrology, or the shepherd of Archetypal Astrology, as he says. Okay, so we are going to now enter into our panel. So you, wonderful panel of astrologers, can actually unmute your mics. Who would like to go? Actually, let me share my screen here. Who would like to go first? Let's see here. Why don't we, can we start with you, Emily, with Sun, Trine, Moon? How does that sound?
Sure. I'm fairly new to the archetypal astrology world, so please be gentle with me. But I'm happy to share what I have. Oops. Sorry. Okay, here we go. So I have Sun, Trine, Moon, which is an aspect that I'm very fond of because it actually occurs in my own chart. And a trine occurs when two heavenly bodies in the sky form a 120-degree angle. A trine is considered a soft or harmonious angle, as the archetypes reflected by these two planets are easily integrated together in the life of someone who has this aspect in their natal chart. In the case of Sun, Trine, Moon, we have the archetype of the sun, which represents our central identity, our conscious will, our center of vital creative energy, our active yang, masculine father energy, in combination with the moon, which represents our emotional container and that aspect of our identity associated with emotional bonding, family, home, mother, children, the body, our receptive yin, feminine energy. So people who have this aspect in their chart are easily able to integrate their feelings, archetype of the moon, with their central purpose in life, archetype of the sun. Their emotional nature, archetype of the moon, feeds smoothly into their work in the world, archetype of the sun, and their subconscious, moon, and conscious, sun, natures are in alignment. As positive examples of these archetypal combinations, I chose 3 celebrities who have this aspect in their natal charts: Gloria Steinem, Prince Harry, and Stephen Hawking. The first is Gloria Steinem, the journalist and political activist, her identity, archetype of the sun, who became nationally recognized as the mother of the feminist movement, archetype of the moon. She co-founded and co-edited Ms. Magazine in order to provide a platform for the voices of women. A memorable and sometimes controversial figure, she attracted attention for her elegant physical beauty, moon archetype, as well as for her social activism, sun archetype. The second figure is Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex. A member of the British royal family, his identity, archetype of the sun. He eschewed tradition by following his heart, moon archetype, in order to marry the woman he loved, Meghan Markle, a woman of color. Later, he once again followed his heart by giving up his position as a senior member of the royal family in order to protect his new family from the press and to assume his new identity as father and husband. Devoted to the memory of his mother, Princess Diana, he once said that all he ever wanted to do was to make his mother proud. And finally, Stephen Hawking, the great theoretical physicist, cosmologist, and author, who inspired the world with the genius of his mind, sun archetype, and the vulnerable humanity of his body, archetype of the moon. Diagnosed with ALS, a debilitating motor neuron disease at the age of 21, Hawking actually embraced his illness as the perfect container, archetype of the moon, for his mind, saying that his loss of dexterity was responsible for his creative vision, archetype of the sun, and actually set his mind free. And that's all I have.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Emily. That was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
Great.
All right. And who would like to go next? Alexis, would you like to go next?
Sure.
Okay. All right, let's find, here we go.
So, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. These are my, I think, 3 favorite planets. They are together in a conjunction, which is when 2 or more planets join together in the same place in the sky. It's thought to be the strongest or most powerful aspect, and it merges or blends the archetypal qualities together to form kind of a superpower effect. Mercury moves quite quickly in its orbit around the sun and changes signs every 2 to 3 weeks, unless it's going through a retrograde, whereas Jupiter and Neptune, their orbits last much longer. They move much more slowly. Jupiter taking about 12 years. Neptune can spend up to 15 years in one sign. The last Jupiter-Neptune conjunction in the sign of Pisces happened in the 1850s. And this coincided with the birth of the Spiritist movement, which promoted the belief in mediumship and communication with spirits. And this also happened alongside the abolition of slavery and women's suffrage. You can kind of see it today, and it's hard to tell what's real anymore. And also, hopefully, we're approaching another kind of expansion of consciousness, which I think is very well illustrated in these people who have this aspect in their birth chart. Kate McKinnon is an award-winning actress, writer, and comedian. She's a multi-instrumentalist as a child, and as a young adult, played the piano, cello, and guitar. She discovered her knack for accents and impressions as a 12-year-old, which she would later grow to become most well-known for. And she's a graduate of Columbia University with a degree in theater. And from there, she went on to join the cast of Saturday Night Live. She's the first SNL cast member to win an Emmy since Dana Carvey in 1993, who also has Mercury, Jupiter, and Neptune figuring prominently in his natal chart. You can see all of these archetypes present in her impressive intelligence and sense of humor. Mercury, the magnitude of those qualities exaggerated, as well as her remarkable success and receiving a higher education through an elite university, Jupiter, and her abundant creativity, imagination, and ability to shapeshift through the art of impersonation, Neptune. And the same goes for Dana Carvey. John Dee was the original 007. He's a famous polyglot scientist, mathematician, and the court astrologer to the one and only Queen Elizabeth of England. He utilized astrology to pick important dates on behalf of the British royal crown, including her coronation day. His use of magic and or what some say was just plain strategic decision-making on behalf of England and Elizabeth's rule has influenced all of our lives today, and that it shaped the entire development of Western civilization. It said he placed a curse on the Spanish Armada, which gave England the upper hand as England and Spain struggled for power in setting up colonies in the Americas. He's directly responsible for the expansion of the British Empire. So if you live in America today, he is most likely the reason for that, and that we're speaking English right now instead of Spanish. He's reputed to have communicated with angels and spirits through the use of a crystal ball, and is responsible for recording an entirely new celestial language by that means. So you can see his gift for intelligence and language in Mercury, the expansion of those gifts, along with an extensive higher education. I believe he was at Cambridge, and also the association with royalty and all kinds of people of the utmost power at that time, Jupiter, along with themes of communication, Mercury again, by some esoteric and spiritual means, Neptune. Rudolf Steiner was a philosopher, social reformer, architect, and self-proclaimed clairvoyant who gained recognition at the turn of the 19th century. He published a massive amount of books and philosophical works on spiritual subject matter: Mercury, writing and communication, and Jupiter, the abundance of material of a philosophical nature, and Neptune, the spiritual subject matter. He postulated that all of our world is an indivisible unity, Neptune, but that our consciousness divides itself into a sense perceptible appearance, Mercury and Jupiter. He formulated a movement called anthroposophy, which would greatly influence many people in the world at large today. His ideas being implemented in Waldorf schools, agriculture, medicine, banking, and the arts, Mercury being the implementation of ideas, and Jupiter, the vast expanse and through educational means, and Neptune through the arts and spiritual practices. Like John Dee, a part of his controversy is the clairvoyant mediumship and communication with spirits, Mercury, communication, Jupiter, expansion of this skill, and Neptune, the otherworldly nature of it. But they both brought a vast wealth of knowledge, Mercury and Jupiter, from a seemingly otherworldly source, Neptune, that has impacted the history of the planet. And then we also have Betty Page, who was an American model known as the Queen of Pinups. She had a very challenging early life, including familial abuse, frequently moving around and having to take care of her younger siblings. Neptune can be the lack of boundaries and stability. She moved to New York in her late 20s, hoping to become an actress. But while walking out at Coney Island, she was approached by a New York City police officer / photographer who said she would be a great pinup model. And her lack of inhibition, Neptune, made her an instant success, Jupiter. She would become hugely famous and inspired a particular sense of style for many generations to come, Mercury and Jupiter. She became a projection of a ideal feminine but naughty, dark-haired seductress of her time, Neptune. And later in life, she would convert to Christianity, quote, giving her life to the Lord, and also struggle with acute schizophrenia. Neptune, the projection of ideals, Jupiter, religious conversion, and Mercury, Neptune, struggle with mental health. And last but not least, we have Lisa Marie Presley, the daughter of Elvis, who was one of the most famous musicians and people of all time, Jupiter, Neptune, and Priscilla Presley. Her father died when she was only 9, and she claims she has no bad memories of him. It's the idealism of Jupiter and Neptune. In fact, it was almost too much fun staying with him at Graceland in Tennessee. She was in some of the most extravagant opulence, wealth, fame, and success possible, Jupiter. She recalls staying up with her father until 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and sleeping until the early afternoon. Not a typical childhood. She did eventually witness how her father's success became so extreme. He was isolated in an ivory tower as he battled addictions, which caused him great unhappiness. And it was painful for her to see, which is the Neptunian lack of boundaries. She became a musician like her father, married more than 3 times, one of her husbands being famous actor Nicolas Cage, but the most famous marriage was to Michael Jackson, who also lived in a sort of fantasy world of his own, a never land. She would divorce him soon after the marriage, feeling like there was nothing she could do to help him with his own addictions. And she struggled with addiction herself only later in life, but made it out alive and is now vocal about the opioid epidemic that's rampant in the United States. So we have Mercury as a vocalist and a spokesperson for addiction, which Neptune can also sometimes be an escape from pain. So that was a lot of information crammed into a short period of time. Thanks for bearing with me.
Thank you, Alexis. That was great. Amazing. Kyle, would you like to go? Are you okay with that?
I am ready.
You're ready. All right, great.
Just
Let me just share my screen here.
yeah.
There we are.
And here we are. So wait a second. My screen has been totally taken over. Wow.
Can you minimize?
I am not able to access my screen.
Well, here, why don't I go then, and that'll give you a chance to see if you can access your notes, maybe by minimizing. How does that sound?
No, actually, that does not do it. Can you just let me share my screen? Is that okay?
Sure.
I don't know what else to do.
Give it a try.
Yeah, so all I got to do is share this guy right here. Can you see?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So I'm discussing Venus, Mars, and Uranus. So right now, Venus and Mars are in conjunction really closely, and they are squaring the planet Uranus. So the other time that I found this configuration going on, the most notable time I found was in June of 1968. The same sort of thing was going on, and that was actually a few days after the assassination of Robert Kennedy, which itself was a couple of months after the assassination of Martin Luther King. So there's a kind of crazy off the rails energy that can be associated with this. But I would like to go back to some just principles of archetypal astrology and talk about just some essentials. You know, the planetary archetypes, they have many faces. So Venus, we can say, is the archetype of love and beauty, if we may say it that way. Venus is all about all that is pleasing to the senses. And this is the force that brings us together and binds us more closely to each other. So in sharp contrast to Venus, Mars is more like the archetype of struggle, the aggressive will to compete, to challenge our limits and overcome our opponents. But these archetypes are not simply opposites. They are drawn to engage each other, Venus and Mars. And these archetypal forces underlie this dance of giving and taking that animates any kind of close relationship, human and, you know, just sentient relationships. So when we find the planet Uranus in relation to Venus and Mars, we have a new dynamic that shows up. So this ever-shifting dance of these two forces is disrupted by an unexpected lightning bolt or a breakthrough that reveals the potential for a more insightful experience of this relationship. So Venus and Mars are, you know, playing their games, but the games get disrupted when Uranus shows up. Uranus is the gift of personal freedom, which we hope to use wisely. And like I said, this kind of energy can go off the rails. We hope it doesn't do that right now. But I want to focus on the mostly positive expression of this dynamic in the life of one of the leading voices of psychotherapy in the 20th century. So this is the planetary figure we find at the birth of Fritz Perls in 1893. So Venus and Mars are conjoined in the sign of Leo. They're in a lot of tension with Uranus in Scorpio. So Fritz Perls coined the term Gestalt therapy, and this is the form of psychotherapy he developed with his wife, Laura Perls, in the 1940s and 50s. So where he fits into this planetary archetypal picture seems to be about his approach. His Gestalt approach is to reach a point of therapeutic breakthrough by presenting the client with insights that just cut right through the layers of their mental camouflage and their emotional armor. And a lot of this is related to his body work. He lived and worked at Esalen Institute in the early days, like 1964 to 69. And at Esalen, Perls collaborated with Ida Rolf, who was the founder of Rolfing Structural Integration. And they studied the relationship between mind and body. And it became a major theme of Gestalt therapy. So a few observations from other therapists who knew him. So one said, from Fritz, I got the realization that a person could have incredible range in their characteristics. I could experience Fritz as the most cutting and as the most tender of all people. So here we have sort of an exaggeration of these Venus and Mars natures. Mars is very much associated with cutting, and Venus is tender. Someone else said, I know that Fritz doesn't like his arrogance, and along with it, he has such a beautiful humility. And this might have something to do with, Mars and Venus both being in Leo, but his natural tendency to be, I can see him being kind of the life of the party at Esalen. He actually built a house on the grounds of Esalen, and I can just imagine, all the parties they had there. So another quote, you see a lot of physical acting in Gestalt therapy. Perls says to the client, what do you feel like doing? Well, I feel like swearing and spitting. So Perls says, well, go ahead. And as they spit and swear and bite, he allows them to do their own therapy. They act it and they live it. It's a very important thing to be able to express anger. And Perls wrote the lines that you see on the slide in 1969 to express his views of how to be engaged with someone while being true to oneself. You may have heard it before. I do my thing and you do your thing. I am not in this world to live up to your expectations. And you are not in this world to live up to mine. You are you and I am I. And if by chance we find each other, it's beautiful. If not, it can't be helped. So that is what I have to say about Fritz Perls and
Excellent,
his
Kyle.
illustration. I don't know how much time that has taken up. If I had another minute, I would tell you about someone else with these planets.
Let's save that one for the open discussion after.
But I think we'll save it. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right. So yeah, so please stop sharing your screen and then we'll continue forth.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Kyle. Excellent work. Okay. And let's see here. Okay. Here we are, Saturn square Uranus. So this is another combination that we're currently experiencing. Saturn square Uranus. We've actually been experiencing it since close to the onset of the pandemic. So Saturn is the archetype associated with the planet Saturn has to do with boundaries, limitations, consequences, separation, burdens. Saturn can be thought of as the reality principle, that which makes things real by differentiating them from one another, separating them, having them limitations, where you stop and where I start. Uranus can be thought of, the archetype associated with the planet Uranus can be thought of almost in some ways as the opposite of Saturn, in the sense that Saturn is associated with boundaries, limitations, constraints. Uranus is associated with freedoms, freedom, rebellion from constraints, rebellion from limitations, and the excitement therein, and also innovation as a freedom from limitation. And so when you have these two in combination, there's definitely going to be a very dynamic dialogue because of their almost opposite energies. And then particularly the square alignment, which is a 90-degree alignment, is itself a tense alignment. So that itself, that alignment between any two archetypes is going to create tension, let alone with two that are already somewhat opposite to one another. So how has this archetypal combination been showing up already for us these days? Well, at the beginning of the pandemic, we entered into a world in which it was through boundaries that we could go about our daily freedoms. So for instance, like a mask, you'd have to have some type of constraint, limitation, mask, 6-foot distance from other people in order to, for instance, have the freedom to go about your shopping, move about through your buildings and institutions. And so we can already see there this kind of dialogue between separation and freedom. In the realms of technology, we can see how there was a, in the pandemic, we can see the same dynamic in terms of Saturn is also associated with cautionary measures that can kind of ensure, just like a boundary can ensure safety, cautionary measures that ensure safety. And so there's the vaccination, and then there's like, in order to have the freedom to go to a restaurant or something like that, there has to be this kind of stamp of certification of vaccination. So again, we can see a dialogue there between Uranus, freedom, and constraint, Saturn. In the realm of technology, we can see it in the sense of kind of an overlap between pandemic and technology. There's, a lot of people, most people started working from home. A lot of times over Zoom, for instance, like this. And so it became something where the separations of Saturn, the separations and the isolation, the differentiation actually mixed with technology, with the innovations associated with Uranus, to have a sort of a freedom, the freedom to work from home, but also the freedom to work from home being the burden of being separated from, the institution, the work team, whatever it is. So you can kind of see the conversation going both ways there of freedom, innovation, and also separation, limitation. Saturn is also associated with consequences. And so we can see in the realm of technology that in recent years, a lot of consequences have been showing up having to do with the use of technology, like for instance, social media. There's been a fair amount of discussion recently about the consequences of social media and advancements in technology and social media that actually show that social media can be damaging to one's mental health in different age brackets in different ways. So that's Saturn showing up as consequences, burdens, realities, the realities that are paired with that Uranian innovation of technology. So now we can see some let me hold on here a second. We can see some positive examples of this combination when we look at some examples of people that were born with this combination. So for instance, Chet Baker, Rosa Parks, Dr. Seuss, Steph Curry. So one of the positive ways this combination this dialogue between these two dynamics can show up is that within constraints and limitations, we can find freedom. So in the example of Chet Baker, let me just pull up some quotes here. So in the example of Chet Baker, he says, "I like to play deep in the register. I was never a high note specialist. My range goes from the bottom of the horn to around C or D. High D is about it for me, about 2.5 octaves, I think. But in these 2.5 octaves, I can say everything I have to say." So we can see there how Chet Baker is confining himself. He's limiting himself to a limited range, but within that limited range, he finds freedom. Similarly, Dr. Seuss wrote Green Eggs and Ham, one of his most famous children's books. The inspiration for writing that book was actually a bet in which he was challenged by someone to write an entire book using only 50 words. And then similarly, he limited himself to a first grade vocabulary when he wrote The Cat in the Hat. And we can see that placing these constraints and bounds upon himself, it actually allowed him the freedom to play, literally in a sense, and kind of infuse those works with the sense of play that's made them become these kind of timeless classics. Steph Curry, very similarly, when somebody asked him what is his most important component to his outside shooting in basketball, he said, "Consistency with your base and fundamentals. You look at the greatest shooters in basketball history. Not one person shoots like another person. They all have unique form. They are the ones that can repeat that form over and over again with little change each time, so they're more accurate shooters." So we can see Saturn showing up here in the consistency. Saturn's also associated with discipline, consistency. And so we can see it showing up here, the fundamentals, the base, the groundedness, the consistency. Uranus shows up as the emphasis on the unique form, that each of them is unique, different, free. Each shooter is different. They have their own freedom to express their own unique shot, but it's got to be mixed with that Saturnian regularity of practice every single day. So Rosa Parks is an interesting example because she actually demonstrates a different example of the positive combination of Saturn and Uranus. And we can see it in this quote right here, because Saturn's associated with responsibility, burdens, responsibility. And what Rosa Parks said is, she said, "I would like to be remembered as a person who wanted to be free so that other people would be also free. I would like to be remembered as a person who wanted to be free so that other people would be also free." So there's an emphasis on freedom there, Uranus, but it comes with its own sense of burden, responsibility, maturity. There's a sense that to be free it comes with a burden of I want to be free so that others can be free. So that's our combination here with Saturn, Uranus. So we've covered some of the major alignments that we have here currently with us right now. And so now we're going to switch phases here. We're going to switch phases here. And actually, in order to switch phases, let's actually kind of relax a little bit, shake it all out. You know, we can kind of with the presentation of the panel, we can get a little bit into the intellect. And so we want to let that go. We want to kind of like let our awareness, which oftentimes is up here in the head, kind of go with gravity down to the shoulders. You can kind of like let the shoulders soften, drop back, let the chest lift a little bit. It's almost like we're shrugging a burden off our back, like when you throw a backpack off, it falls down off the back, or a jacket that's heavy or something like that. And with that, we want to feel all the sense of heaviness kind of going down the back of the spine into the pelvis, and from the pelvis down through the legs into the feet and into the earth. And with that, our awareness also goes down through the body and down into the earth, our connection with the earth, so we can feel very rooted, very grounded, and we can feel flushed. We can feel flushed, like everything that we just took in, it's great. We took it in, it's there at some level, but it doesn't have to be at the top of our consciousness. It can just wash over us, wash down. And that will bring us to where we can introduce our actors here today. So astrologers, oh, you guys have already muted yourself. So yeah, please mute yourself if you haven't already. Actors, please turn your camera on. And I can see we've got Michael, we've got Anneka, we've got, we have everybody. We are, I think, missing one. Oh no, we got Marilyn. Okay, we got Anneka. All right, we got everybody. Okay, so let's see here. We have with us Tatiana Hassan. Tatiana Hassan, Colombian visual artist, dancer, teacher, choreographer, spiritual guide, and astrologer. She began an artistic journey from a very young age, developing many skills over the years. She holds 2 master's degrees, one in languages and the other one in dance. She has been teaching, performing, and choreographing for over 20 years. For the past few years, her journey has taken her to dive deep into astrology studies, spiritual pursuits, and channeling her gifts into creating healing modalities through art, music, movement, and the study of the psyche. Her work has brought her to France, the United States, Argentina, her home country, Colombia, and now Canada, where she currently resides. She is at TatianaHassan.com. Okay. All right. And we have with us Michael Hayes. Michael Hayes likes to write, act, and make videos. He loves languages and speaks Spanish and Italian. He lives in Indianapolis with his pup. You can catch his performances on Buddhism Hotline on YouTube. Very talented Michael Hayes. We have with us here Anneka Marie. So Anneka's interest in the areas of metaphysics began in childhood, fired up by her own ESP experiences. Her first job was at American Astrology magazine, where she was inspired by the professional astrologers for whom she served as a liaison to clients. She has worked professionally in healthcare and the healing arts as a librarian to Tucson's Astrologers Guild. Anneka houses and sells books from their broad collection on the subject. Welcome, Anneka. Yes. And we have here the birthday girl whose birthday was just yesterday. This is Marilyn Diaz. So Marilyn Diaz Ojeda is from Louisville, Kentucky. She is 14 years old and in the 8th grade. She started acting when she was 7. And she started imagining herself on TV since then. And ever since then, she's been working and trying her best on pursuing that dream. Welcome, Marilyn. So everybody go ahead and turn off your mics. Turn on your mics, sorry. So how we doing, actors? How you feeling?
Good.
All right.
Yeah, feeling good. Feeling great.
Good.
Feeling loose. Feeling loose.
Feeling loose. All right, nice. So gang, everybody, audience, we bow to these folks. These are the folks who come up here to just be the beautiful vessels of imagination for us to be here today. And we get to just goof around with each other. Let's turn it to the audience for our first sketch. We may start with maybe short ones. We'll see how it organically unfolds. Maybe 3 minutes. I got a little timer here. Maybe 3 minutes. Maybe we could go up to longer ones, 6 minutes, 9 minutes, who knows? But I want to know from the audience, we have 4 actors here. So I want to kind of get some audience participation here. So audience, can you choose for us a number between 2 and 4 and put it in the chat? Don't be shy. It's not a complicated question. Just choose a number between 2 and 4. It's not a test. All right, 3. Great. All right, 3. And then audience, choose a setting. Where would you like a setting to be? A setting could be anywhere. Could be the moon, could be the desert, could be the bottom of the ocean. Who knows? Where's your favorite setting? Just start popping them out there. Throw them out there. Okay, we've got we got some good ones. Let's start on a space station on Mars. Okay. Now, audience, who are some characters? Like 3, in fact. Maybe it's 3 animals, maybe it's 3 siblings, maybe it's 3 anything goes. Just throw it out there. All right, we got a veterinarian, so we got 1 veterinarian. Still looking for 2 more characters. Just spit them out. We have a sage. We'll say a sage. Yeah. Yogananda, Madonna, Jesus Christ. I'm going to distill that to a sage. We've got not a vegetarian, a veterinarian, a sage, and somebody else. And a plumber. All right. We have a veterinarian, a sage, and a plumber. Okay. So actors, who would like to be a veterinarian? Okay, we have Anneka. Anneka is a veterinarian. And who would like to be, what was the other one, a sage? Sage. Sage can be females. Sages. Okay, not very popular sage, but
I'll be a sage. I'll be a sage.
all right. That humbleness itself speaks well to you being a sage. Okay. All right. So what was the next one? A plumber? All right, Tatiana's a plumber. All right, so we're gonna unpin here. And all right. And action.
Everything is so red. Everything is so red. It's lovely. It's a vermilion color. I absolutely am enthralled with the beauty of the universe at this moment. The fact that this bubble on my head really isn't so constrictive after all. I'm sure I'll need a massage later. My lats and my shoulder blades are a little sore, but.
Excuse me, dude. There, we have a problem. We're having a leak in your bubble, and we need to fix it.
In my bubble, in this bubble, there's a leak.
Yes, there is a leak.
Oh dear God, leak. Fix it, please, if you would. Am I in danger of what?
Well, I kind of got here a little bit by accident. I didn't mean to be here. I was just sent here, and I was doing my job.
Oh dear God. Tell me you're some kind of engineer. You're a genius or something. Tell me that you are. Please.
Well,
From my point of view, it seems like there's a mouse stuck in the pipe.
Oh, mouse! You got a mouse? Yeah, I think I can
Yeah.
fix that.
Oh,
I just need a
Ginger,
wrench.
Ginger.
I
Yes,
need a-
Ginger. My mouse is she's stuck in a pipe. Oh dear God. Oh dear God. I brought her along because it was an experiment with the veterinarian here. I mean, we've got a veterinarian. I mean, extract the mouse, please. Extract Ginger.
That's,
I
they're not, they're not my business, but you might try some cheese.
cheese. No. Look, I just need a wrench because
No, not a wrench, not a wrench. Cheese sounds better. Cheese sounds more palpable. Anyone with a little bit of feta, a little bit of gorgonzola, possibly. A nice manchego would do.
The
Idiatabal.
stronger, the better.
a wrench. I say a wrench. I mean, you asked me how. I have my degrees.
Okay,
I'm very
okay. You're the engineer.
I have a
You're an engineer, right? You're a professional. I mean,
professional in the art of unclogging plumbing. That's a very highly, I'm a plumber. I can't get the mouse out. I just need a wrench. I can see, there's the bubble. I see there's this thing.
very well, very well.
And what can happen if you
Give me a moment. I need a moment to confer with
Well, I think we need to get into the psychology of it.
look, madam,
Where's the sage?
I just need to just hear me. I just unscrew the thing. I take the wrench. I just put it
I'm
out.
starting to get faint. I'm starting to get faint. Is there a leak in here? I'm
Oh,
starting
no.
to lose consciousness.
Oh, no, don't die. I need, come on, help me out here. Get me something. Oh, he's dying. He's
Just
dying.
get some cheese.
Okay, cheese. No, cheese, manchego. No. Oh, he's dying. Come on. Okay, I'm going to, come on, lady, help me. Pull. Ah.
And scene.
Oh, I got it.
Woo!
Oh, it's out. Ah.
Well done, everybody. Well done. Let's hear your applause in the chat. Wow. The collective unconscious. Where in the world does it come from? Where does it come up with this stuff? That was brilliant. That was brilliant. Awesome. Excellent, everybody. Excellent. Okay, so let's kind of let that one simmer a little bit. Everybody, wonderful job. We'll shake it out a little bit here. And let's hear from the audience. Keep them coming, keep the accolades coming. Yes. Excellent. Okay, so audience, we want to hear from you again. Let's have another number, shall we? Okay, we've got 2 this time. Okay, and let's have an environment. Could be any environment. As we saw, that was on Mars. Just go wacky with it. What happened to setting and dilemma? Dilemma just kind of naturally happened. The mouse happened, but setting is the bottom of the ocean. Okay, let's do the bottom of the ocean because that came first. Okay, so we've got 2 people. We've got 2 characters. They're not necessarily people. They could be anything. And who are they? Who are these people? Or who are these characters? They could be animals. They could be energies. Who are they? Somebody from the audience who hasn't said anything, just spit it out. Nothing is wrong. Everything is allowed. We got an octopus and an owl. All right, we got an octopus and an owl, everybody. On the bottom of the ocean. Who, anybody, any takers? Anybody want to be an octopus? Anybody want to be an octopus? Octopuses are great. We got, all right, Marilyn.
I'll be octopus, yeah.
Those limbs. All right.
Nice.
And we've got a wise old owl. Oh, Tatiana's prepared. Nice background.
Well, how about or a government official?
Okay, a wise old owl or a government official. Okay. Yeah. Would you have a preference between a wise old owl or a government official? Any of you? I mean,
A government official, certainly.
yeah.
I'll be a government official.
Okay. So we have a
The bottom of the
situation somewhere on the bottom of the ocean.
Any other
And-
context?
What dilemma? You want a dilemma?
Awesome.
Audience, predicament? Predicament,
word.
anyone?
A word.
Yeah, or a word, just throw a word out there. Predicament, situation. I think. Oh man. I'm gonna let the government official choose.
Oh, how about a volcano underwater?
Can
Let's-
they do all three of the suggestions possibly?
Indeed, indeed.
Okay, so we have whale turds getting fired, food shortage. Okay, so we got a bunch of good ones. All right, so action.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. The food shortage down here, it's gotten preposterous. We need to find something to, we need to take the tax dollars and appropriate them yeah, I wish I had as many arms as you did, because I would, I feel like I'm so handicapped. I just have 2 arms.
Well, I mean, the legs are great. It's pretty cool. I get to do pretty cool stuff. I get to swim around, but I have a question. What are you doing here? I've never seen a human. Like,
At the bottom of the ocean. No, I'm here.
yeah, that's
Food
not
shortage.
common.
I'm here to address the food shortage. Plus, we've been looking into perhaps excavating the whale turds to sort of turn into fossil fuels. They burn, well, they're very combustible, as it were. And right now, with the everything going on in Russia, I mean, we need alternative sources of fuel. And so the whale turds are very promising in that regard. So actually, I was
Yeah. About the whale turds, I don't know if a human can go near those. I'm just saying, it's just a warning. You can do whatever you want, but it's just a warning.
There are Navy SEAL teams approaching them at this very moment. What is wrong with the whale turds? Please.
First of all, the smell. Let's talk about the smell. It's outrageous. An octopus, I can't go near those turds. That says something, doesn't it? And you need to stop the Navy SEAL.
However, they've got very strong. I mean, they will put nose plugs in their nose, and they will smell nothing. I mean, literally like so. I mean, it is absolutely it's the way it goes. I mean, they'll be fine with the smell. What is there something dangerous about these whale turds? I please enlighten me.
Yeah, it's just. I understand you humans. You need fuel sources. You need it for energy. You need it for electricity. I know how it works. But at the bottom of the ocean, we do things differently here. You're supposed to ask for permission first, because I don't know if you humans know anything about respect. But I don't know. Maybe you should go talk to the whales. Hope they don't swallow you up and then spit you out.
Swallow me up and spit me out.
Yeah,
Who
that's
would
happened to me once, actually.
who would swallow me up and spit me out potentially?
The whales aren't the nicest people. That's all I'm saying. I know they're not nice to me, okay? And I have
I would become a
8 arms and 8
whale
legs.
incidentally at the bottom of the ocean. I would be that whale turd because I would be digested and then defecated and so on and so forth. That's absolutely, oh boy, this is quite a
Yeah.
predicament. You know, I mean, they've been talking about firing me recently, and you know, they were like, go to the bottom of the ocean. You know, I mean, excavate the whale turds. I thought it was a shit job, but dear God, oh dear God, this is absolutely. I'm having a crisis here. Can you help me out?
I don't really know what an octopus is going to do to help a human out. I'm actually not even supposed to be around you. Just, you know, I'm not really supposed to be around you because humans down here are labeled as dangerous. So, but you know, I have nothing else to do. I have a lot of free time. So yeah, sure, share your life crisis with me.
My life crisis with you. My life crisis with you. My life crisis with you. Here's the thing. You know, you and I diverged possibly billions, possibly closer to millions of years ago. That somehow or some way or another, we are related on the evolutionary timeline, and I just need to know what you would do in my situation if you were, you know, employed by the government, for Christ's sake. I mean, it's just a meritocracy, you know. I mean, the political aspect of it all. I mean, the Democrats, the Republicans. I don't know where. I don't know which thing. I I'm so fragged. I don't know what to think about it. It's absolutely mind-boggling.
Well, I didn't know you were going to go that far. We start off the history lesson. I don't know how we're really related. You have
asked
2 arms
me.
and 2 legs, and you know, I have 8. So, you know, maybe you can go talk to the king of the sea. You know, he helps out everyone. He's like the therapist of the sea, and he's also the ruler. But you should go talk to him.
Can you make the introduction? I need help. I need a consigliere. I need someone to help me right now. It's very, very, very desperate times for a government official in the bottom of the ocean excavating whale turds.
Yeah, don't mention don't mention the whale turds, and don't mention that you're a human and a government official. We don't really use those words around here. Just, you know, grab some seaweed, wrap it around your head, wrap it around your body, pretend you're a mermaid. How about that?
Pretend I'm a mermaid.
Yeah.
Pretend I'm a mermaid.
I mean, put some more seaweed around your head. You know, just kind of make it like.
You can tell that I'm
kind
balding.
of.
Yeah, no, it's very, very evident. I got to get the seaweed wrapped around appropriately.
Yeah.
It's on the vocal cord. How am I doing? I'm the princess of the bottom of the ocean. How's the English accent?
That's. No, we're just gonna work on that for a second. First of all, I can tell you're really tense, so you need to relax because he's just, you know, just relax. It's fine. It's fine. Just don't mention that part that you're human. Why you're here, which is for the whale turds, and don't mention that you were planning on using them because I don't know if I should tell you this because it could mess up the introduction. It could make you more nervous, but the king of the sea could actually take you down to the bottom of the ocean, like, you know, like kind of like, how do I say this to humans? Like kind of like kick you out, but instead of going back to land, you don't go back to land ever. So, you know, don't mention that you're human. Don't mention you're here for the whale turds, and just, you know, relax and tell him about your life crisis, and he should help you.
Did you just make a threat to put me at the very bottom of the ocean in a sort of shallow or a very profound watery grave, as it were? I don't know how I'm supposed to talk like a woman in the very profoundest part of the ocean. I mean, to get into my head voice, I need to really kind of sort of exhale. I need to be sort of, I mean, with the pressure, all that water on top of my head, it really, you're asking a lot of me right now. I mean, I've been in a real pickle after, I can't sleep recently because, the termination sort of weighing over my head, and now we're at the bottom of the ocean. There's so much pressure on top of everything. I mean, really, I just would rather go home, possibly.
You know what? I'll see what I can do. But you have to promise me that you won't tell anyone, not the government officials, not your mom or your dad, not your kids, not your girlfriend, no one. Like, you cannot tell anyone at all.
Yeah, and then my wife divorced me, and my kids don't speak to me, so it's absolutely
Well,
no worries. Yeah, no worries. I mean, I agree with you. I won't talk to anyone. I've got no friends, except if you're possibly my friend. Are you my friend?
oh, the word friend is a really strong word. It has a lot of definition, especially because we're not really supposed to be talking, like I said before. But why not? I'll be your friend, and I'll get you back to land and get to your, I guess, to the people back up there, since you mentioned you don't have any friends.
Move in together. We could move in together. I could get a very nice tank, and we could absolutely dine together every night. I mean, it would be absolutely, possibly spontaneously fantastic. I don't see the problem here. I just really have this connection with you. What is your name?
First of all, you have a connection with an octopus?
Percival?
Are you,
Did you say Percival?
yes, you're okay. Listen, you're not gonna last down here for long. Like, there's so much.
I know,
Okay,
I know, I
basically,
know.
yeah.
Holding my
It's
breath for quite a long while. I don't know how I'm still speaking, and you interpret what I'm saying because the English language being what it is phonetically, and then everything with the ears not really registering underwater. I don't understand how exactly we're communicating, but so on. You were saying,
I don't really know if I should tell you this right now. It's kind of, if just tell me. Are you ready for what I'm about to tell you?
am I ready?
Yeah. Are you ready for what I'm about to tell you?
Sitting down. I'm sitting down.
How do I say this? Okay. I don't really have a lot of practice with humans, so I'm just gonna blurt this out. Okay. Octopuses have magical powers, and I turned you into a merman.
You have magical powers?
Did you not hear the other part that I just said?
A merman?
Yeah, that part.
What about a merman?
I turned you into one.
You could turn me
Maybe.
into a merman?
Yeah. I mean, you were kind of, I could kind of tell that you had a lot of pressure, like, actually on you because you're underwater.
Could you give me a six-pack as well? I possibly would like that as well. Six-pack, and maybe some biceps and some nice, definition. Could could you make me look more princely? Like, possibly, I don't know, embellish me a little bit. If not, that's okay. That's okay. I understand. I would go with the merman. I would be a merman. Are there mermaids possibly to court? I mean, you and I could possibly double date. You go out with an octopus, I find a mermaid, and what do you think about that? I'm down.
I'm not really into
I can
dating.
keep the job. I don't care about the government.
Yeah, actually, I was never planning on sending you back to land because there's a law here, right? Once a human goes in the ocean, right, and interacts with humans, not a human, animals down here. You can't, we can't really send you back up because we risk losing our lives, you know? So I was planning on turning you into a mermaid anyhow. Now you're asking me for a six-pack and biceps. And I'm sorry, are humans normally this selfish?
Selfish is a very, I don't, let's talk about the word selfish. I mean, semiotically, I mean, I prefer to say more, I can't quite describe selfish. Yeah, that's actually appropriate, actually.
Yeah, selfish.
I,
Like, because that's,
yeah, yeah. I've just, it's, I feel like, down here, I'm just a person at the bottom of the ocean, and no one looks like me. There's no one like me down here. I can hardly survive down here. I don't know how long I've been holding my breath and still managed to be alive, and all this water pressure on my head and everything. And I just, part of me feels like I'm just a stranger in a strange. I'm not meant to be here. If you made me into a merman, would I still need to breathe oxygen?
your oxygen tank actually went out like about an hour ago. So basically you don't need oxygen. You're just, you can breathe underwater now. I kind of have to do that to keep you alive, because if not, you'd be dead. But yeah. And I don't know, just, since you're new here, I thought I'd give you some tips. Don't go near the sharks. They're not the friendliest, but I'd guess you humans know that, right? Shark attacks and everything.
Sure.
Don't pop up on animals because potentially no one knows that you're here,
All right, gang, we are going to call scene here. Thank you for that. Wow. Wow. That just got deeper and deeper and deeper into the ocean. Thank you for taking that so deep, so brilliantly. Excellent. Wow. Incredible. So let's kind of just let that one sit, let it simmer. I think we have time for maybe one more. That one went a little long. Were you guys comfortable with that length? Did you guys in the scene?
I felt like it could have ended anytime. It felt good though.
Yeah.
It felt like
Okay.
just kind of going. I don't know. I enjoyed it. Marilyn?
Yeah, it was good. I like that.
Yeah, you guys did great. Okay.
Thank
So
you.
let's try one more. We'll see. Maybe it'll be short, maybe it'll be long. Did any of my other astrologers want to play director and say scene and say action and say scene? Anybody? Alexis? No?
I'm happy to, sure, I can jump in. I'm just monitoring the time.
Okay.
And
Okay, so so let's do one more. You know what that means, audience? It means that we're going to bring everybody back out here and we're going to choose a number between 2 and 4.
maybe can the last one be everybody?
Sure.
Or if this,
Yeah, you're Alexis, you're an audience member too, so you're the first.
I
to
think it
speak,
should
so.
be everyone or
Okay.
all of the actors.
All right, where are you, Anneka? There you are. All right, the whole crew of 4. And we got another suggestion for 4. Okay, so how about an environment, a setting? Floating on a cloud. All right, we've got floating on a cloud. And who is floating on a cloud? Let's throw out some characters. Again, characters can be anything. Okay, we've got Charlie Chaplin. Charlie Chaplin is floating on a cloud. Red Baron. Red Baron and a stork carrying a newborn baby. Yes, Red Baron. What is the Red Baron? Excuse my ignorance.
He was an aviator, wasn't he?
An aviator? Okay.
I think so.
Yeah, the World War I fighter pilot.
Fighter pilot. Okay. So we got fighter pilot, Red Baron, stork
He's a
carrying
frozen
baby.
pizza.
What's that?
The frozen pizza.
Sorry, what was that?
A frozen pizza, the Red Baron, with sausage and pepperoni.
Oh,
Of course, but of course. Okay, and we've got 3 characters, right?
One more.
Yeah, we need one more character. Just throw it on in there, people.
What about the baby that the stork is carrying?
Oh, okay, yeah, there you go. There's a baby. Okay, so who wants to be the Red Baron? And who wants to be a stork, a baby, maybe a diva baby or a SpongeBob baby? What was the other one? What was the first one? The first one was Charlie Chaplin.
I'll be the
I'll be the frozen pizza. I'll be the frozen pizza.
Okay, you're the frozen pizza.
diva
Red
baby.
Baron.
Diva baby.
Baron.
All right, so we have Stork and Charlie Chaplin. Anneka, you're muted. Actually, Marilyn, you're muted too.
I could be the stork.
You're the Stork. Okay, cool. Marilyn, how do you feel about Charlie Chaplin?
I mean, I'm being honest, I don't know who that is, but I can just, improvise and go with the flow.
Anybody want to throw maybe a different character out than Charlie Chaplin?
Charlie Chaplin was a silent film actor, and he had a famous mustache. So we could go with that, and it could involve like miming, or we could come up with, or if anybody has something else right off the top of their head.
Marilyn, are you comfortable with miming, like making hand gestures silently, or do you want to choose another character?
I'm fine with miming.
Okay. All right. Check out the diva baby. All right, we got our frozen pizza, we got a diva baby, we got the stork, and we have our silent actor Charlie Chaplin. All right, everybody, action.
Who's the stork again?
The stork is Anneka. Do we need a scenario?
Well, we got a cloud, right? So
Yeah, one cloud.
I just got to rest here for a minute.
Yeah.
I've been carrying this little bundle here for, about couple hundred miles, and I need a break.
Are you hungry at all? Are you hungry? Because right now we could, I'm a very appetizing, crusty pizza. We could, you ever heard of Red Baron?
You want me to take a bite of you? All right.
If you would. I've been trying to be baked for years now.
I'll try not to eat the whole thing.
Okay. If we could just find an oven somewhere.
Hey, I heard a squeak. You think the baby?
The baby.
You're not supposed to say much until you're born, but I've been traveling a long way.
Wait a minute. I think you're wrong. I have a plan for this life, you know, and I gotta fill you in my plan when I'm born. Oh my God, I can see myself already. I'm on stage. Oh my God, singing, and I'm gonna be like the most famous.
Where am I dropping you? Hollywood?
Oh my God, Hollywood, yes.
Oh, all right, there's a big sign over there. I think I can't miss it.
Yes, but drop me, please, by the mansion of, drop me by the side of, I don't know.
I've
Michael,
always wanted to go to Hollywood. I've always wanted to go to. Is that Charlie Chaplin along here on the cloud as well?
hey, Charlie Chaplin. Oh my God, he's an idol of mine from, a past life. Oh my God.
Hey, Charlie, I thought you were dead.
He's not saying much. I don't get it.
Well, silent, you might as well be dead. And on a
No,
cloud away from the bright lights, you might as well be dead. What do you think of this bundle?
Actually, gonna.
I think she's ugly.
An ugly one. I always I get very anxious around babies. I don't quite know whether to. They're all ugly to me. They're all ugly to me. Oh, God.
You're saying that I'm ugly?
Yeah, a little gift.
You can't understand that. You're way too young to understand. Hey, who are you pretending to be?
A little gift.
Wait a minute.
A little gift.
That lasts for 20 years or more.
Can somebody explain me this whole thing, because I'm getting a sense that I'm being rejected already before I even speak.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it, honey. I didn't mean it. Here, have some pizza.
I don't know what it feels like to be rejected. I've always been, you hot out of the oven, folks want to bite into me. They all love to bite into a fresh, crispy pizza.
Don't even mute.
All I want to be is famous and rich,
Yeah.
like Miley Cyrus.
Here, have a pepperoni. So who else all coming? We're bringing the pizza. I gotta rest up here. Charlie, what are you doing? You gonna stay here in the clouds?
Charlie, can you be my dad?
No. How about you just be an inspiration for our budding
Can you be my inspiration?
star?
Yes, please. Can you show me something so I become really famous? Okay, I got that. And that. Okay.
Cute.
Someone could find an oven, please. I really need to get baked. I need to get baked quickly. Maybe 15 to 18 minutes.
Me too. You think you do?
I'm hungry. I'm actually hungry. Can I bite you?
You don't have any teeth yet. You're not even born yet. Look, I would
That's all right.
I would love
Have
to
some
do that.
pepperoni.
This would be just not work out. I don't think it would work out.
I have some memory, from my past life. That's why. Pizza was really good. I remember. But now I'm focused on being a star. Yeah. Okay, pizza pepperoni. Can then I see you? I'll see you later, and I'll eat you later. How about that? In 10 years.
If I'm around, I'm a hot commodity. I mean, we'll see if I'm around. I'll probably be ingested and defecated by then.
Oh my gosh, you do have some nerve. Hot commodity. I'm a hot commodity.
I'll see you go to a good home.
And scene. Right. All right, everybody. Wow, we got a super inflated baby and a super hot pizza and a sage like Charlie Chaplin. Awesome job. All right, so I am going to check in with the audience. How we doing? Shall we jump into our analysis, or it's not analysis, just discussion? Actually, why don't I check in with my astrologers here? So what do we want? Let's hit the chat. You want one more skit, or you want to jump into our astrological exploration?
I could watch them for hours. That was so funny and so much fun and just amazing. The way they played off of each other in some very strange predicaments. But I think if we do any more, I'll forget what stood out to me from an archetypal perspective.
Excellent. All right. Well, let's gather our astrologers here, and then let's also revert to the chat. Okay, so we've got a wealth of information. Alexis is right, and we want to honor the ways that these archetypal combinations showed up in the just in the spontaneity of the whole thing. And I mean, I can kick it off to start with, just the fact that we are doing this and we're in a Mercury, Jupiter, Neptune triple conjunction. That in and of itself is a kind of a larger frame, because there's this sense of Mercury has to do with the mind and perception, and Jupiter makes things grand, and Neptune has to do with this like inspiration, enchantment. Neptune is also an archetype associated with water and flow, and a kind of a yin flowing. And so the three of them together make for a very stream of consciousness sort of. Mercury Neptune combinations are good for kind of channeling stream of consciousness, channeling kind of from the pool of the collective unconscious, the imagination. That's a very Neptunian pool. So that's a larger frame on this whole thing. How about the first? So the first, let's recap. The first one, I'm like the one that was on the cloud and the one that was under the water is really sticking with me. What was the first one again? Oh, it was the mouse.
The plumber on a space station on Mars.
Yeah, exactly. So we're on Mars.
Oh, it was a space station. Oh.
Well, I mean, you guys were obviously outside somewhere because he had to wear a big bubble on his head. But yeah, so please keep the chat alive with your observations. Like something that comes off on my head is that Saturn-Uranus combination is associated with sudden. The Uranus is the association of the sudden, the unexpected, the disruptive, the rebellious, and Saturn is associated with kind of calamitous reality checks. And so, getting a mouse stuck, he was in a sudden dire situation, and there was a kind of a little bit of a Mars-like argument among friends about how to get the mouse out. Any other observations?
Neptune and the leak, I felt like was one.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah, and yeah, so there was a bit of a there was also a kind of like the Mercury, Jupiter, Neptune sage like thing going on. There was the astronaut was actually a sage, like a spiritual sage who had gotten into a predicament in which there wasn't enough air. And it was and yes. Okay, so how about the second one? The second one, we were at the bottom of the ocean.
Anneka, did you have an observation? I think you were saying something, but You were muted.
Oh, I was muted. Yeah, well, I forget the language. Rand, please forgive me. The Saturn birthing thing when you're all compressed. Help me out, guys.
Was it a BPM two?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, Groff basic perinatal matrices, the memory
Yes,
of being born,
perinatal matrices.
being compressed and wanting to find freedom. So it's kind of a Saturnian.
Yeah, poor
thing there.
mouse.
Yeah, there was kind of something on his head, and it was kind of like, you know, and it was kind of clogged up. And yes, there was something very perinatal about that. It's true. It was almost like the hose was like an umbilical cord, and there was a mouse inside it. Kyle, were you saying something?
I was just going to say the mouse was going through some BPM stuff there.
Yeah, that's
for
a good
sure.
point. That's a good point. Yeah, poor little mouse. Yep. We got to see him at the end though. That's that hard labor, man. He got released. He got that Uranian release at the end. We got yeah, can we Tatiana, can we see the mouse?
Yeah.
Oh, little
But
mouse.
the poor sage didn't make it, I don't think. That
He might have died.
yeah.
Maybe he got
Mouse.
reincarnated as the mouse. Or who knows, maybe he became the became the diva baby,
The diva baby.
which maybe got born as the mouse. You never know.
But we can like the yanking of the mouse, like the yanking is like that kind of like pressure, and then the mouse just like
Yeah, right. Saturn, Uranus, the release of pressure. Yeah, there was definitely a Mars. There was a little contention there between like how to get the mouse out. It was either cheese, like push the mouse out, or draw the mouse out with cheese. And it was a little bit of like force versus the law of attraction, a Venusian like law of attraction versus just like Mars, like just get in there and hammer it out. So then we had the underwater experience that was super trippy. It was an experience underwater in which a government official had to collect whale turds because of an energy crisis. But he didn't understand the language of the underwater world and was introduced to that culture and language by an octopus, in which there was a lot of twists and turns in that one. There was a lot of kind of like Venus, Uranus, awkward, strange stuff going on. Is there an attraction between the male and the octopus? Is there maybe maybe there's a courtship? Maybe the male wants to the government official wants to bring the octopus back onto the shore, but actually the octopus has to convert him to a mermaid. And that was good for him because apparently he was having a midlife crisis on land. So any observations there? I mean, obviously they were underwater. It's very Neptunian. Mercury, Neptune is kind of a cultural thing going on there. Jupiter is associated with a larger cultural palette, meeting of cultures, a kind of jousting of, again, between love and
Jupiter. Jupiter can be a government official of some sort.
The whale. I think Jupiter's the whale.
And the whale.
I thought he started out kind of Saturnian.
Saturn's government, right?
Yeah. How do you see that?
Well, when he came in, he was talking about all the limitations and all the problems and all the rules, and he had to do this and he had to do that.
Yeah.
And the octopus kind of came in as, the Uranian, none of this, we're just going to break free with all of our legs.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there was a real he was kind of cracking up, like it was so much Saturn, but also Uranus too. Like he was kind of, that happens sometimes, that accommodation. There's like this need to be free, but just too much restrictions. Interestingly, the octopus also seemed to be functioning along Saturnian lines in some ways, because she was like, well, over here on this different side of the fence, you know, you got to talk to the, you can't take the turds without asking the permission. You got to talk to this person, you got to talk to that. So there's a little bit of that there too.
The octopus got progressively tougher and kind of like turned into like, it reminded me of like a mafia octopus, and like then the idea of like sending him off to like the deepest part of the ocean, at the bottom of the ocean, and
with some concrete over shoes.
Yeah, but then kind of was like doing everything to try to resist having any further interaction with the government official, but then tried to kind of remove themselves from the situation by embracing it and through offering friendship and the use of their magical powers and granting them the ability to become a merman.
Which was very Neptunian, very Neptunian.
Yeah, there was, and it was also a note of kind of quote like Neptunian compassion there at the end. It was almost like the taking mercy. The octopus was kind of taking mercy on that poor guy. Desperate, lonely and desperate. Government official gets to have a six-pack and arms.
Which was very Neptunian. The six-pack was very Neptunian.
Yeah, the mermaid, and also idealized. Yeah. All right. And how about the third one, or any observations on that second one? You guys can chime in, audience. I know you chime away. We'll read your responses. Could be anonymous if you want, but
I really must obtain authorizations to access the whale turds and regenerative environmental policies for energy consumption, and some nice comments about the sketch.
Nice. Okay, so how about the third one? So the third one was on a cloud, also kind of Mercury, Jupiter, Neptune. Is like this kind of heavenly cloud, spiritual dimension in which there's a stork about to deliver a baby. So it's kind of like in between realm incarnation. And Charlie Chaplin was chilling there, and so was a pizza. There was a pizza just kind of like hanging out there. And yeah, so any observations on that one?
I thought there was a sun moon moment when the stork and the pizza were going to get together. You know, they seem to flow so beautifully. You know, you want to take a bite of me. You know, it seemed like a brief sun moon moment.
Yeah, there was kind of like this, the sun moon, like masculine, feminine, and kind of like, yeah, I can see that sun moon. And it kind of got a little Mars Venus too. They started getting getting into little oral fixation type stuff going on, which is actually kind of lunar actually.
Yeah, and with delusions of grandeur with the baby.
Yeah, delusions of grandeur with the baby.
Yes.
Okay, so we have an audience comment with the Venus Mars. I felt there was a bit of a nibbly and randy undercurrent. Yeah, nibbly and randy undercurrent. Yes, definitely. There was a little bit of that undercurrent there. Meanwhile, the baby was, as Anneka noted, like kind of on a trip of you know, that Jupiter Neptune is really like silver screen, enchantment, Disney, Michael Jackson, Neverland kind of thing. And so the baby was all about that. The baby was like, drop me right by the Hollywood sign. I want to go like straight to the silver screen. So super, super Jupiter, Neptune, Mercury, Jupiter, Neptune. Stars in her eyes. She was a diva baby. And then Charlie Chaplin was interesting because there's a little Saturn Uranus going on there, because it's a little bit odd man out, silent. Like, you know, Saturn can be associated with silence, like stillness, silence, kind of negation. And so, yeah, it was kind of like this silent watcher there.
I thought that Mercury and Neptune is interesting for just communicating purely through visuals, without the use of words.
Totally. Mercury is also associated with the hands. And there was a lot of like Charlie Chaplin's like hand movements, you know? And let's see here, we got an audience comment here.
And also mimes, mimes are pretty Saturnian, right? And they're silent, and they're always like pushing against invisible walls and stuff like that.
Yeah, totally. Invisible walls. Yep. Being like in invisible boxes and stuff. So we have an audience member, Ren, is pointing out that the pizza really wanted to get baked. And so there's a connotation there of getting high. They're on a cloud. There's a very definite like Mercury, Jupiter, Neptune, or Jupiter, Neptune association with the highs in life, like people born with, like Bob Marley born with Jupiter, Neptune, like the highs in life. And so anyways, that pizza really wanted to get baked. Is Mercury associated with ambivalence? Not necessarily. Yeah, Neptune, maybe ambivalence, maybe. Depends kind of like what sign of Libra, sometimes equivocating too. So yes, any other observations? Our wonderful audience, our wonderful team of actors, our wonderful panel of astrologers. So we have pulled off something that the larger frame of this event definitely is informed by the archetypes as well, because Mars and Venus are associated with performance art, because Venus is associated with that which is attractive, that which is beautiful. And Mars heats it up, makes it like really dynamic and kind of brave, people brave to get on the stage and show their art. So performance art, this is what this has been, this has been a performance art, but it's been a performance art done with a kind of a reverence for the divine. So Neptune can be associated with a kind of like the spiritual, sublime, rarefied aspect of reality. And Jupiter is like this exalting, the sense of exaltation, and it's like exaltation through the performance art, and then also with Mercury there, that flow of imagination, flow of consciousness. Because Mercury, the mind perception isn't always associated with the flow, because it's, we can think in a linear way sometimes, but once you add that Neptunian quality, Neptune is associated with the infinite oceans, infinite expanses, spirit realm, dreams, imagination just starts to flow. And yes, excellent. I think we did it, y'all. I think we pulled it off.
Something that's never been done before.
Never been done before. This is kind of like a archetypal astrology going to church to witness the divine in a super fun way. So thank you to you wonderful audience showing up, being part of this experience and giving your input. Thank you to the panel of astrologers who were showing their gifts, offering their gifts here as a kind of guiding light. And then, oh my God, thank you to the team of actors. Oh my God, like the bravery, just step up and just like put it on display. Just let it flow, let it rip with the imagination. I mean, you guys are like the all-stars here. You guys are like that baby.
Thank you.
I was remembering how I used to lead improv groups in like 3rd grade. I would gather them all around, give them a setting, and play act on the swing sets. Went on for weeks.
So
I haven't done it since.
Allow this inspiration to flow into your life, flow back into your life. You got it back. Yeah. So so this recording will be up on Archetypal News Network. Make sure to check out the Archetypal News Network on YouTube and subscribe. and check out the Actor Zone, the Kickstarter. Check out everybody here, all the astrologers. Keep a lookout for these wonderful actors. And thank you all for joining us. We'll look forward to the next thing that we do, that the divine flows through us and we end up doing. Who knows what it's going to be, but it's going to be fun. Keep a lookout. Keep your eyes on our Archetypal News Network on YouTube. All right, everybody.
Awesome.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Where will the recording be available, James?
On the Archetypal News Network on YouTube. Yep, that's where it'll be. Come check us out. Good night, everybody. Woo! Everybody turn your mics off and give a holler. Woo!
Wahoo!
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.